It is one of the darkest periods of U.S. history. It's really heavy here, right? There's no way around it. It was a prison camp. We're Michael and Holliff, world travelers, avid scuba divers, and food lovers. We quit our jobs in 2019 to travel the world full-time.
Mission success.
Unfortunately, in 2020, we had to fly back home to the States due to the COVID pandemic. So, we bought a camper van, adopted a sweet German Shepherd named Kana, and now the three of us continue on with our full-time travel around North America in our home on wheels. In our last video, we enjoyed a visit to Joshua Tree National Park in California.
Well, gotta love California prices.
Yeah. And by the way, welcome to California. We continued our journey north towards the beautiful Sierra Nevadas, home of some of the tallest mountains in California. But our visit here today is a little bit more personal than just enjoying the scenery. It's a chance for us to get to know a little bit more about a disturbing event of 20th century America. Today we are at Manzanar National Historic Site.
After Pearl Harbor in 1942, the American government decided that they're gonna protect Japanese American, and they established internment camps all around the west coast of the United States.
It is one of the darkest periods of U.S. history because they actually basically took people who were U.S. citizens and permanent residents, by the way, for their own protection and put them in internment camps. And everybody knows that it wasn't for their own protection, it was because of basically xenophobia. So all these people were brought here from all over the United States, and by the time the war was done in 1945 and they got to go back to their homes and businesses, most of these people realized that they lost just about everything. This is one of the bigger internment camps here, and it's the one that the National Park Service has chosen to preserve. So the actual visitor center is closed because of COVID, but they do have a nice auto tour. So we're gonna do the auto tour.
Gonna drive us, kinda?
Can I drive? Thank you. That's very nice of her.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, Manzanar was a little town of 10,000 people. The whole city had 36 blocks, and each block has 14 barracks. Unfortunately, most of these structures are gone, so you just drive by, there's a lot of different labels, Barrack 1, Barrack 2, so on and so forth, and they're just like empty fields. But here in Barrack 14, they actually reconstructed the two barracks. Unfortunately, it's closed due to COVID, just to give you a little bit of, the insiders, so just kind of like how they lived and work and play in such a small confinement. Each block can fit 200 or 300 people at once. So crowded and lack of privacy, and I just can't imagine living in this kind of situation. But they had to endure through all of this.
It's kind of strange that they even have a basketball court here. Not only that, but they also have a basketball that you can actually pick up and play, so you can more immerse yourself into the environment that the people had here. Over there a little ways, there's also a baseball field with bases lined up. And I think it's just to let you know that, these weren't necessarily just Japanese people. These were Japanese Americans. They were as American as anybody else. And they did things like play baseball and basketball. And as I'm a Canadian citizen who just became American, I haven't picked up on basketball very well yet. Let's give that one more try. There we go. Woo! These are the latrines that would be used during the internment, and you can see that the drains are very close together, so I would imagine inside that women's latrine it looks the same. You could have absolutely no expectation of privacy, and as a result, no expectation of dignity when you had to do something as simple as just use the bathroom. So the reason this site was chosen, apparently, according to this, is that it had its own water source and the land around it was arable. So there were 440 acres of farms around here that would produce root vegetables, chickens, beef, things like that. And the Japanese people who were interred here would work these farms and produce all this stuff for themselves.
This is how detailed National Park is with their work. You see the US flag right behind me? They only have 48 stars, which basically where the Manzanar was established in the 40s. Alaska and Hawaii weren't part of the United States, therefore there are only 48 states.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You think of everything here.
Yes, details, details, details.
Japanese people love their baseball, so they had a baseball field here. There still are some of the slabs left over from the ones that were knocked down.
The barracks.
Yeah. There's a lot of old trees here that look like they had some work done to them, but they're very almost haunting looking, just the way they look. We're in Merritt Park. This is a park designed by one of the Japanese prisoners here, and he was a landscape designer, and he had help from other people. This was a place that you could come away from the crowded barracks, away from the crowded prisoner-like atmosphere, and then just enjoy your day. There was water features here, there was bridges built. It's all kind of run down now, but back then this would have been a nice respite from the heat and work and all the stuff that took place over in the barracks. And before it was called Merritt Park, it was called Pleasure Park. Merritt Park is the name of the project director at the time. Oh, there's a squirrel up in the tree.
Oh.
I'm not going there for a squirrel. I thought it was an elk.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen a squirrel for a long time, have you? No.
I wonder who named it Pleasure Park. Was it the Japanese people that named it Pleasure Park, or was it the captors? From whose perspective do you think there was pleasure in any of this? Finally, we approached the most important spot at Manzanar, and it's a very somber reminder of the victims of this internment camp.
So we are currently at the Manzanar Cemetery, a very somber and sacred place. It used to be a cemetery where a lot of prisoners buried if they're not cremated. Right now, I believe there's only 6 left here because after the war, the family requested the remains to be brought over to their hometown. This particular grave right behind me was actually the first victim that died here in Manzanar about 2 months after they all moved in.
Behind me is one of the iconic things that you'll see here at Manzanar Historic Site. It is a tower that was built here to honor the victims of the Japanese internment here. The characters on the front of the tower read Ireto, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but the characters translate as Soul Consoling Tower. And every year, for the past several years at least, Japanese people have made pilgrimages here to come and see the sacred place. I wonder what it says. And if we don't find out, maybe someone who speaks Japanese can leave it in the comments. This is all cranes that were probably left by the people here that come on the pilgrimages. First, when I saw it, I thought it was like the flags that you sometimes see at Nepal, the ones that are on the trails. But then I looked closer and noticed it's all origami.
Just right between the barracks and the cemetery, there's a historical barbed wire. It's called a security fence, just to keep people in. Just reminds me of the idea of people actually kept here to get separated from the outside world. I mean, you think about like all the prison, internment camps, they're all heavily guarded. People are kept in with the barbed wires. So just kind of like really uneasy feeling. So granted, this is not the original ones, have to be reconstructed after all these years. But it is one of the details that National Park Service built just to remind people and just to get you into the mindset that this is actually a prison.
Where is it?
Wow!
I don't know if I can see it, Hall.
You don't see it? That's so cool! Photobomb!
If you didn't know what this place was and what it was used for, it would kind of almost seem, I mean, it's a bad word, it would almost seem normal because of everything that's here. You come here and you see all this stuff and you think, beautiful park, baseball fields, but you also have to think these people didn't have the option to leave. It's really heavy here, right? There's no way around it. It was a prison camp. Japanese people didn't stop being citizens just because they were put in internment camps. In fact, the United States had this campaign where they needed people to save all their scrap rubber because most of the rubber came from Southeast Asia and the Japanese controlled most of that. So the Japanese actually developed a type of rubber here that I think was like 3 or 4 times stronger than the rubber that came from Southeast Asia. So they needed rubber for tires, they needed rubber for, you know, all the entire war effort. I think you should come here. I hope you're sort of liking that we're showing you all this stuff, because I know a lot of people haven't been here and it's really been eye-opening for us.
That's it from the Manzanar National Historic Site.
Before we go though, we just want to make clear that the U.S. wasn't the only country that did things like this. I'm originally from Canada, and my government did the same thing. We took 21,000 Japanese people from British Columbia, scattered them all over the country into various prison camps. And not only that, to add insult to injury, they took their businesses and all their possessions and sold them to make enough money to pay for their internment. So this type of thing is just something that happens everywhere.
So we hope you find this video informative, and we're gonna do a lot of videos like this throughout our journey in North America. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
And if you want to get notification every time we post something new, you can hit the bell.
Yes, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. It's actually in a beautiful setting. So, oh, wait a second.
If you heard about the Second World War right after of course you are. That's it from the Manzanar Historic Site.
But before we go, I do want to say, just for clarification, that it's not like the U.S. was the only country that did things like this.